This is the Institute for New Media Studies at Fort Hays State University. The Institute is dedicated to the transdisciplinary study of new media as it impacts human communication. It focuses on the intersection of culture, communication, and technology through a lens of disruption and convergence. The director of the Institute for New Media Studies, Dr. Gordon Carlson, talked about how, with its humble beginnings, the Institute has grown in the last few years.
At this rate, the sky's the limit. The things that we could be doing just a couple more years from now based on our track record is pretty big. So I guess you could say, like, we still have sort of the advantages of being relatively small. You can kind of like get in on the ground floor or something like that. But we've already established ourselves as being capable of some really big things. So it's a pretty exciting time to be here in the lab.
When asked about some of the projects the Institute has been working on, Dr. Carlson thought it best to show us instead.
So one of the things we're working on here in the lab is the use of 3D stereoscopic cameras. And the idea is that we can actually scan in 3D the physical environment, and then we can pick out elements within that environment. So one of the things that we do here is we actually try and pick out humans from a scene, and we try to track them. So one of the reasons we do this is it allows us to do things like motion capture. So just like if you were in Hollywood making a movie or something like that. So what it does is it picks up our bodies, and then you'll notice the colored lines are sort of like, it generates this little skeleton of us, and then the white blocks, those are the data points, or the joints of your body. So if you move around and do a little dance, you can see us go. So it's tracking us in real time using fuzzy logic and that 3D scanning. It can even do some things that are pretty useful and interesting. So if I hold out my hands, you'll notice that right now they're lighting up green, but if I close them, they turn red. So we can even detect things like whether our hands are open or closed or something like that. So that actually allows us to build our own new software to do some really cool stuff. And let me show you one of them right now. So one of the things that we're using that stereoscopic recording for is the ability to interact with computer software without ever having to touch it. So we can just interact with the physical space around us instead of having to use the keyboard or mouse. So one of the things I can do is take some of these models that we're working on as part of Tiger Range. We created this augmented reality interactive interface that we're developing for use by tigers right here at Fort Hays. And to give you just a quick idea of how it works, it actually reads your body language, and I can go ahead and use my hand to rotate the image like this, and I can even control exactly how much. So I can make it move just slowly, or I can make it move faster. And then I can use my hand, and if I grab it, I can zoom in and out using nothing but my hands and go back to rotating it. So the idea here is to be able to interact with the computer system without having to physically touch it, which has a whole bunch of potential applications for things like the classroom, collaborative learning spaces, and private industry.
One of the projects we got to see was Tiger Range, which is one of the Institute's biggest projects.
So Tiger Range has a great opportunity to take what is fun and what is useful and put it together to really serve the whole university. So one of the big things we're trying to do here with Tiger Range as our flagship project is to create this virtual reality version of campus. So what we've got here is a model of the quad that you can actually run around in and take a look at. So just like we use a video game system, just like the top video game companies would use. And so you can run around in the quad. You can run around on the grass or stay on the concrete, it's up to you. We've modeled each of the buildings totally to full scale. So we can even simulate things like what time of day it would be, how that would affect lighting conditions, that sort of thing. And because it's virtual reality, we can even do some cool things that you can't really do in real life.
Dr. Carlson's hope for the Institute in the future is to provide a place for students and faculty to try new things that would seem impossible otherwise.
We can take the ideas that almost seem too crazy to even invest in or to think about or something, because we connect so many different knowledge sets that a student walks in the door and says, I've always wanted to try this, but it's too hard, I could never do it, and I wouldn't even know where to get the equipment. And we go, oh, but wait, you totally can.
The Institute for New Media Studies is open to anyone who is interested in new media or has ideas for new projects. For Tiger Media Network, I'm Alex Perez.